Hey folks, Frank the Pest Geek here. I am live. Haven't done a podcast, I think, in a month. Um, been so busy, but I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that uh, yes, I did approve that, finish that. I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm live on making sure I'm live. Yeah, there we go. Make sure that I can hear myself. Yeah, there we go. Make sure that I can All right, hear myself. Put it a little closer. All right. So that way I can answer your questions live, and I can see what's been happening on here. And we'll take the volume off of this now. Answer your questions. What's been happening? Give me a second on here. All right, and now I can keep an eye on this. Long ashes to you, my friends. It's uh, it's Wednesday uh, here in Miami. Hot as heck, humid. It's been raining. Hopefully my techs are able to finish. Um, Taking a little time off this week. I've been working. I must have worked 14 days straight between the field and the office, and working on the weekends and doing stuff that I need to do. I'm going to go ahead and light my ceremonial cigar for this podcast. This is a house cigar. I buy it locally here at my local cigar shop. They got a good selection of these house cigars that they make for them, and I kind of like them. They're low priced. If I'm gonna be smoking, cheers and long ashes to you. I'm gonna be drinking a Woodford Reserve for the duration of the podcast, and I don't like the resolution on this thing. It is horrible. Let's see if I can. I don't think I can fix the resolution. Yeah, that's going to be the best resolution I can get on this live stream app. It used to be better. I don't know. Let me see if I can. I got 4 people watching. I hate to shut this off, but it's at 720p. I used to be able to get it at 1080p. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm here. You can hear me, and we can talk about the things that are driving you insane, driving me insane in growth. It is hitting the walls, and eventually you're gonna grow, and you're not gonna have enough cash to do everything that you need to do. I mean, I'm at a point where I needed a full-time tech, a part-time tech to full-time tech, an admin, plus myself selling in the field. And the problem is you don't have the revenue coming in to do it all. So I opted to get the admin full-time, and me go in the field part-time. I was training a brand new tech. I've hired and fired. It's been 4 techs. The one that quit, that originally was with me. The one that, 2 that I hired, one that quit, the other one I fired. And the one I have now, which is doing a phenomenal job of learning. And I got to go out in the field a lot, do a lot of stuff with him. Plus, I have to do my work, and you got to get these guys running really quickly, or else you're stuck for months. You can't handle the business growth. I mean, let me see if I can. Yeah, let me light this up. Let me light this bad boy up. Where I spent 9 months of SEO work updating our site. Updating our site to get the calls. We start getting the calls, and then you're hold on a second. me 1 second. Looks like wifey's out of work, and she's calling me on the way, but I'll talk to her in a little bit because I wanted to give you guys an update and also, talk about the challenges. I mean, these are the realities. You're not going to have the money to do everything you want to do when you want to do it, and get the calls when you want to get the calls. Increase the marketing when you want to increase the marketing. You know, nothing ever happens the way you plan it. It just happens. And a lot of the time when you're small like me, when you're 3 and 4 people, there are a lot of things you can't control. That when you have 10 employees and you're doing, 25% of marketing, budgeting to grow, and you're targeting, let's say, LSA, you can pretty much predict how many calls you're going to get. When we do SEO, we're trying to get that up. Unfortunately, I know how to do it. Unfortunately, it works sometimes. So we put the pedal to the metal. Finally got that project finished. The calls are coming in. I'm getting between 194 last month. The month before, 144 calls this month. And an admin is fielding all these calls. I mean, in reality, we get about 500 calls. But what we figured is about half of those are marketing people trying to reach us. The rest drop the call because they want somebody to answer them. We have an answering system. They have to go through, sales press 1, for termite press, I've got it now to termite press 1, sales press 2, and this and that. And some people decide they're looking for a small guy because they see all my videos and they think I'm a solo operator and they want me. So when they get an answering, oh, he's not a solo operator, he's a big guy. Well, guess what, guys? People that say, well, I'll lose a lot of calls if I use an answering system. Yes, you will lose the calls that you don't want. And this is a reality of you got to pick and choose what you want. You can't have everything in life. You can't have everything when you want it, how you want it, and a lot of times you don't want it. So since I am not a solo operator and I'm trying to get now a second tech back on the road, for those of you that haven't seen the van we built out, I'm going to do a little video on it. I've been promising that. I just haven't had the chance to do a really good video. I'm still finishing touches on it because I'm riding it on the road and I'm finding problems with this van. Not problems, but little things like this would work better if I put it here. If I move this product here, losing the 80-20 rule, this would work better. And I'm kind of using, scientific management and lean and a lot of these principles to say what works more efficiently when we're operating in the field. And since this is going to be a master technician's truck that can do termite, that can do lawn, that can do GHP, it's not a truck for everybody that I would just give anyone. It's a truck that, it's a $100,000 build out. I'm not just going to hand that to a rookie tech and have him wrap it around a pole or a gas station somewhere. This is our main service vehicle that I'm running now, and I'm looking for a tech to be able to a lot of this, or at least learn part of it. So you hit a wall because you're like, dang, I have a marketing guy that's doing a bang up job, but if we apply the 80-20 rule, only 20% of what it's doing is really having effect, which is our SEO and our YouTube. And the rest of the social media stuff of branding and doing the Gary V model and all that really isn't producing anything. It's nice for branding if long term we want to do it, but right now my immediate need is another tech. Can we do 80% of that, cut our budget by 80% in that department? That would require that I get rid of my marketing guy. And we've had to have a conversation this week about the reality of that happening. And these are the hard decisions as an owner you have to make, because Eric has been with me for about 3 years now, part-time. I have a shoulder pain because my shoulder's killing me. from the stress, and I have a first rib that's out. I have to push it in, and whenever I do a lot of, I'm under a lot of stress, it just cramps up on me, and I'm under an enormous amount of stress right now. We're in the middle of summer. Having to lose a tech, your main tech, in the middle of summer, having to retrain somebody, having to go you on the road 3 to 4 days a week, and you were planning on growing with termite and doing all this marketing, the calls are coming in and we can't get to everybody. So what we find when you're growing and when you do certain things, you find out what breaks in the system, what's not going to happen, what's not working. I mean, you find a lot of things that break. And my job as an owner, as a leader, is to figure out what breaks, how to fix it very quickly, or at least how to patch it so that we can continue to move forward, so that service is not interrupted with our clients. Our customers don't feel what we feel, and they have. I mean, we got to the point where we were getting so many calls, and I was out in the field every single day, and I was doing the initial services. I was doing the roach cleanouts because my new tech can only be a maintenance tech right now. That's the reality. I can't teach them how to spend an hour on a property when we're getting rained on every single day. Our days are cut short. Temperatures are 104 degrees with almost 100% humidity, and you're in the middle of this season, and you got to make it happen. And we've lost some customers that didn't understand that they couldn't wait till tomorrow, that they were used to getting, within a day or two a service, and they couldn't get a call back from me. My admin is brand new at the time too, so I hired 2 people basically at the same time, trying to train them to do a different job, and being in 3 places at once, it's impossible. That's the reality. That's what we're faced with right now. For me, waking up at 3 in the morning, not being able to sleep, trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out how I make her scripts easier, how I make her job easier. Because the easier I make her job, the more she can do for me. Finally, my tech is now in a place where I'm doing all the initials, I'm doing the emergency calls, I'm staying in front of my customers with problems so that they don't understand, they don't figure out that something's wrong. Because every business is facing it. I'm getting calls from other companies. I'm sick and tired of this company. They're not showing up. They say they're going to show up and they don't show up. And I said, look, and I have the conversation in the sales process. And I say, look, the reality is everybody's in the same boat. It's in the middle of summer. It's raining. Everybody's short-staffed. Nobody has all of the staff they need. Nobody has all the people they need. Turnover is high. You can't find people. And people are not getting it because the gig economy has gotten so good with Uber Eats and Uber and Lyft and all these companies providing, Postmates and all this, where all these people, you can order a pizza and it's here in 5 minutes. Somebody picks it up and brings it to you. People can't understand why you can't do the same thing. I mean, they've gotten spoiled in this economy with this issue, where I realize that it takes me 3 to 6 months to find a tech after I hire and fire, 80% of them, 90%. Out of 5, 1 will stick. I get 99 applicants and only 2 are qualified, and the 2 that are qualified is the best I can get at that time. They're not great, they're not going to make it, but I give it a shot anyway because I got nothing else to go on. So that's kind of where we're at. We're in that growth stage where it's painful again. But I got to grow. I got to do it. And if you're growing, some people are growing steadily. That's fine. Because the number one question people ask in groups is, I don't have enough work for 2 technicians. I only have enough work for 1, but I need to hire another because if I don't hire, I can't go out and make sales. I can't do things. What do? I said, you hire them, you borrow the money, do whatever you have to do so that the person is there, and you overhire, and you don't have enough profit, and don't take home the pay that you were expecting to take, and you make it happen for a while. And you take a risk, and if it doesn't work out, you look the tech in the eye and say, look, I made a mistake. I thought this was going to go better than it is. Going to go better than it is. It hasn't, and I got to let you go. And for a lot of people, that is too painful to do. But I had to realize that that's what I have to do, and that's the game, and I have to be willing to play it. And as distasteful as that sounds, as horrible as that sounds, that's the reality for every small business person. Then that is trying to grow and trying to make it in this economy where labor rates went 40% in the last 3 years. My labor rate, people understand that I've had to raise my prices because my labor rate is so high. Because I can no longer find employees for $16 an hour. They make more than that doing Uber Eats. They make more than that delivering. So I got to start people at $20 to $24 an hour because they were already making X at another company. They're good. They're good with customer service. They're good with people. And if I want them, I got to pay for it. It's that simple. So I'm hiring people at $24 an hour with no experience. I have to train them. Which means that 40% of my hiring budget is gone on an extra person. And it can't be done. So now I hired, the admin, and I'm in a corner. I said, I can't hire another tech if I have a full-time marketing guy, which is doing a bang-up job, has done the best he can, and I got to make a hard decision now to let him go. And we had the conversation, and I can't grow without another tech. I can do the 20% if I'm in the office. That 20% of marketing, I can do it because I can wake up at 6 in the morning, write a page, and have it up by 8:30. My tech will be on the road by 9, and I can be doing the sales calls because I'm the one doing the initials. I'm the one doing the termite inspections now. I'm the one doing the roach cleanouts. And I could sell more because I'm upselling every single client. Therefore, my average ticket right now, initial ticket, is over 300. And my basic initial, my average ticket on average across the board is about $130 plus. So if I'm doing the sales and I'm doing those initials, I can do the upsells. And that means being out on the road more, being less in the office, but I have an office person to do it. It allows me to do it. That's what I have to do. Some people want to be in the office with 2 technicians like I was. And I was able to ride that for 6 years, where I had 2 technicians. I was at home. I would start working at 6 in the morning, do all the SEO stuff. By 9 a.m., 8 a.m., when the phone started ringing, I was answering those phones. I was closing business right over the phone. Wasn't going out in the field at all. I went out in the field once a week to go see one problem client that nobody could handle, nobody could figure it out. But out of 200 plus services that were done that month, 300 services with, all of the add-ons and everything else, it's like 0.033%. Luckily, our callbacks haven't gone up because my protocols won't allow for callbacks to go up because I won't do quarterly. I'll do monthly, and I evaluate the house, and I evaluate the structure, and I evaluate the pest. And our service is a biologically sound service. Where if I know I got a certain ant species, and you got a pool, and you got a crawl space, and you got this, you're either going to be a monthly, or I'm not taking you on as a client. I'm going to sell you exclusion. I'm going to sell you a $1,700, $1,200 to $2,000 exclusion job to fix your problem, so that you don't keep having the roaches in the home, because you're complaining about the last 3 companies that had the roaches in the home. So this is, my blood pressure is, yesterday I think it was like, at night it was like a 170 something over 100, and I had to call my doctor and get blood pressure medication changed because it's no longer been working. It hasn't been working. It hasn't been done. And what I'll get from people is, you know, you're doing something wrong because you shouldn't have all that stress. Well, the reality is when you're under 5 technicians, that stress is going to be real. That stress is going to happen. That stress, and what people are selling is the illusion of success, the illusion of ease, the illusion of if you just hire them as a consultant, if you hire their service for answering calls and making sales, the convenience of our SEO service where you don't have to do anything. We do everything for you. You pay a super premium and you're getting basically a minimum viable service for that, because nobody can do all that for you. Nobody can do all the calls for you for $1,800 a month, make the sales, and do all that. It's baloney unless you have one service that you sell and that's it. In other words, every contract is $159 or $59 or $49, and you close 80% of the sales on the phone because you're going to have a $49 a month with a quarterly service, and you're going to get so many customers, and 30 to 50% of those are going to drop within the first year, and your technicians are going to be pulling 15 to 20 stops a day, and that's a different kind of stress, and a lot of people couldn't stomach that. So it really doesn't matter where you try to grow. It's going to be stressful. It's just I got to choose which stress. So the stress is real. I mean, I'm listening to all these podcasts that these guys, we started a company with $0, and within the first 6 months I had $1 million, and within 5 years we were at $3 million with 7 technicians and 2 people, and make it sound like it was effortless. How much money did you have? How much experience did you have in doing that for 10 years for somebody else, and then you decided to jump? See, I'll give you a little bit of backstory with me. I didn't come from the pest control industry. I immediately jumped in pest control. With 3 years I had my CPO license, and I immediately started up. I was taught to spray and pray everything. Mix 6 products in a tank and spray all these lawns with it. We were using a ton of organophosphates. When I found out that all these carbamates and organophosphates, I had to have annual testing, and I was a former cancer patient. That's the last thing I wanted to do. Thank God, I forgot about that air conditioning being on. It's annoying. Let me make sure it doesn't turn back on. There we go. Yeah, it's at 72, that's why. That's way too cold for this time of day. And I got the vision to start an IPM company and to do eco-friendly pest control and to do organics. And everybody says you're nuts. And it took me 7 years to learn to be a technician, because nobody taught me to be a technician. I had to go out, and I read Google Scholar, and I pulled every study on every IGR study that was done, on every roach service, on every organic, on every beetle, on everything, and I even publish it. I published it on Pest Geek Podcast, all of my studies that I had to read in order to learn this business, because nobody taught it to me. I had a 7-year, between the time I started in the industry to the time I launched my new brand, Nature Pest, to the time I started this podcast. It was 7 years of trial and error of just learning how to do good pest control, and learning how to do everything right, learning how to do everything by the book, and learning how to do IPM in homes, and learning how to do organic facilities compliance services in homes, learning how to do hospital grade IPM services in homes, because that's what we sell. When the market wasn't even ready for it, I was already doing it, trying it, and then I launched my brand in 2014. I launched my brand. Meantime, I was doing lawns, I was doing irrigation system, I was repairing fences, I had a property service company. And I decided, no, I now finally learned how to do pest control, and I learned how to do it right, and I learned how to do it in all areas other than termite, and I launched my brand. And from from 2014 to now, it's been 10 years. And now is when we're really starting to grow. Because I didn't know the pest control business. I didn't know how to run a pest control business. I didn't know the business. I didn't know marketing. I had to learn marketing. And that took me 10 years to learn how to do good marketing. So when people think that overnight success, they go on these podcasts and people think, well, they had all this overnight. They forget that some of these people were service managers, and they were branch managers, and they were sales managers, and they were directors of, they were directors, they were technical directors. They knew the business inside out. They knew marketing. They were marketing directors. They were lawyers. They were regional managers. They had 10, 15 years of experience under them knowing how the pest control business was, where most of us didn't even know sales. I had the advantage, I know sales, so I can sell it. If I can get the call, I can sell it. If I can go into the home, I can sell it. If I can knock on the door, I can sell it. I can close the business. The problem is I'm in a quandary now. It says, I even told my admin, it says, price these things so high that it's worth our while for me to go out and do it for the time being until I can get a tech just to do this. And right now I'm hunting for a tech just to do initials, basically, and clean outs and do some lawns, some high-grade lawns. Because that's what the business demands. Because we're in a market where I rank #1 for roach services. Go figure. So we're getting calls on apartment roach, individual unit owners or renters that are fed up with their landlord, owner, building management, HOA not solving their roach problem, and they have to pay it out of pocket. And they're calling me, and then we're like at $400 and something to solve the problem one time with 2 shots. And all my competition is charging $150 to do spray services, and they're not solving the problem because they're going to keep you on the hook. So I said, price it high enough that we can make a huge profit on this, and I can go out and do it, and it's worth my time to go out and do it until I can get somebody dedicated to this. Then we can lower the price, and then I will make money on it no matter what. But my time is so valuable that I'd rather just invest my time in customers that need termite inspections, because those are really high price ticket items. Or I go out to a property and I'll sell 4 services. I'll sell a home, a lawn, a shrub spray, a palm treatment, a palm fertilizing, and before I know it, that customer is on $150 a month with me. So I got to know where my bread is buttered, and my bread is buttered in those things. It isn't an apartment roach service, which is probably over 60% of our calls, because we're in a rental market where nobody wants to do anything. So by the time I get the call, we fog, we put dust, we've done this, we've been dealing with it for a year and a half, and we can't solve it. And we saw your video, and because we saw your video on YouTube that has 250,000 views now, it's targeted for local SEO, then that's where I get all the calls. Because I'm the only guy showing them how you do it correctly. Nobody else. So I do a demo video to show them. And this is why I get all the calls. Except they're just not worth it. So now I need a tech just devoted to roach service that can do 4 or 5 initials a day. Easy, 6 tops, because they take time, about an hour. You got travel time, you got Miami travel time. And then just devote ourselves to that. But I keep finding technicians that actually have roach phobia. It's unbelievable. I interview people, they don't want to go near roaches. They'll do the maintenance, they'll do the perimeter treatment, they'll sweep webs, they'll do all of that. But they don't want to climb, and they don't have the attention to detail that is needed to do a German roach cleanup. You got to pull the drawers. You got to go behind the cabinets. You got to pull refrigerators. You got to get inside a cabinet loaded with roaches and not, worry about it. And you will be surprised how many men are not cut out for that. Even though I'm paying them super well to start, $24 an hour. So if you know somebody in Miami that wants to start working for somebody, the problem I have with everybody applying that has experience, when I start talking to them about what they do and how they do it, I find out they're going to rush through it because they're getting paid by the hour. They could care less if they have to go back 3 times. The customer is going to complain. And I realize I'm looking for somebody. I already have a really good job description that I wrote out, 3 pages of a job description that they got to meet a lot of those requirements. Because if not, I end up with a guy who was making, or a gal that was making 15, 16 an hour for Amazon, decided, hey, why not $24 an hour? It's like telling the people that, I can get into Ford or get a union job and I can make $35 an hour. Why not apply? I can go work at the post office and I can get my retirement and pension and all. Why not apply? When they don't have the skill set. So they're applying for things they don't have a skill set for, thinking they're going to be walking around with a B&G can all day long spraying baseboards in apartments. They think that's the job. Unfortunately, America thinks that's pest control. And that is not pest control. Not even close to what we do in our business, as we're an IPM company we're a holistic company. We're not even an IPM company because we have to look at the entire and if you got any questions, feel free to share them on Facebook, YouTube. I'm trying to monitor that so that I can see where. Let me put it here so I can where it goes. Let me open up the chat on the side. Oh, okay, there we go. I didn't have. Yeah, bro, he's been doing it a long time. Okay, so facts don't change minds. Can you please answer a question? Do you sell grass? No, I don't sell grass. He says he swallows, but guys, geez, you guys are terrible. I can't have you guys on. That's it. I'm firing. You're fired. Here. Yeah, go ahead. Never mind. Miss a comment. Click chat. Okay. Hello. La 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 la. We don't care. You guys are terrible. Oh my God. I can't get a straight question. I got roses. I think somebody's trying to make. Where do you find time at country? I don't know, bro. I mean, I need some serious questions here. Anyway, yeah, most of these are YouTube. Cracker tweak. Those are the challenges that we're being faced with. That I got to. Daggone it! Am I going to get a lighter that has any? There we go. This is the stuff, bro. This is the stuff we're all faced with. For those of us that want to grow, the solo operator who says, I don't want to grow because those are the things I don't want to deal with, you're not going to grow. If you think it's easier than it really is, you're going to get disappointed because you're going to go into this thinking, but I listened to all these guys, I read all the books, I listened to the podcast, everybody made it sound so easy, and then I realized it's not because I get the calls. I was having breakfast this morning with a young man who I haven't been able to do a lot of consulting but I had almost a 2-hour breakfast with him this morning because I was waiting to go see my accountant, and I said, why not? I'll take the morning off anyway. Let's go meet. And he's been thinking about starting up. He wanted me to train him and teach him so he can start up. I have no problem doing that. He's working for a company now. The company is stuck. The owners are not going to grow. They're afraid to grow anymore. And he feels like everything he says, everything he recommends. So we had a heart-to-heart about that us as owners, we're like torn between 17 things on a daily basis, and every idea that comes to us we can't contemplate. We don't have the bandwidth. Most of us have ADHD. We don't listen very well. We're terrible listeners. Um, we partially dyslexic. Most of us. We are in this. I got to hire people. I got people quitting. I got the customer calling. I've got the admin on the other end. I've got the marketing guy. I've got my web developer that screwed up the site. The shipment that was supposed to come in didn't come in, and we're like, on top of everything. And then people are like, you're a control freak. I said, yes, because if I'm not on top of it and I delegate it to you, and then I ask you 3 times, why isn't it done, and you don't give me an answer, I realize that's why I can't give it to you. And we don't have the patience. We don't have time. We're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I work 14 days straight, and I had to take a week off now just to recover, because it's unbearably stressful on top of all the stress we have. So just because you come to us with ideas on small businesses where we're doing under $1 million, we can't entertain everything everybody throws at us. It's not really doable. And most people will never, most employees will never understand the pressure that we carry, that the fact that we have to make sure payroll's there every week, the fact that we have to make sure that we're, where our credit is, how much credit are we borrowing, what are we doing. It isn't for the faint. And one of the things that came up in the conversation is he doesn't want to grow. He doesn't allow the technicians to call the clients. They got to call the office, and we have to call the client. And they don't want them to have any information about the client, because they're afraid that the technicians are going to quit and start up. And I think that's a detrimental thinking, because I want my technicians to have full access to everything. And the moment I can't trust you, I have to fire you. It's that simple. I can't take a risk that you're contacting clients, trying to sell them side jobs or anything like that. The moment I find out, I get rid of you. Here's the reality. Only 10%, between 6 to 10% of Americans are business owners. Between 6 to 10% of Americans are self-employed. So the maximum is 10%. 90% of people work for somebody else, because they do not have what it takes to start up a business, to work, to go solo, to go without a paycheck for weeks and months, and even years sometimes, until the business takes off. They don't have the sales skills. They don't have the management skills. They don't have the marketing skills. They don't have them. 90% of Americans are not in sales. 10% of people are only in sales. It's usually the same people that start up. So you got a salesperson, he's got a better chance of starting up than your tech does. Your manager has a better chance of starting up than your tech does. He's not going to start up. None of the people that I ever fired, quit, left, over the 20 years I've been doing this almost, I'm thinking about 20 people I've hired. None of them have ever started up. They're not going to. Of those that start up, let's say you've got 10 technicians that you hired, and you have 10 technicians, even if they decide to start up, they got a 20% chance of failing the first year. Over 50% will fail within the first 5 years, and only about 1% of people that start up make it past the 10-15 year mark. That means that your technicians have a 99% chance of failing and never making it and never competing with you if you have multiple techs. Your fear of hiring people, not training them, not having them become managers and manage that entire route, and then you supervising it, and you being a leader and a supervisor, making sure things are done, and that everybody's following protocols and that we're on top of it. The reason, and especially if you're hiring people, I mean, this is ludicrous, folks. You're hiring warm bodies of people that couldn't manage a lemonade stand because you're putting warm bodies in a truck. Do you think that person who cannot even get anything right on the route, that's just looking to hide and not do anything and milk the clock, is actually going to start up a business? Please. It's not going to happen. So, a lot of the things that you have as unfounded fears, the biggest thing is it is a pain to hire. It is a pain to interview. It is a pain to learn that the decisions you made. But what I've come to this conclusion, every decision I make in my business, in order for me to grow, has to be based on numbers and what makes sense for the business, not what's comfortable, not what's emotional to me, not the fact that I made a bad hire and I got to fire the person because I made that mistake, that I hired the wrong person, because you never know what you're really hiring. It's hiring is guessing, because even if you look at the resume, look at everything, you put them on the road, you find out whether they can do it or not. And the moment you find out they can't do it, you got to get rid of them because it's not good for the business. And the fact that I spent 18 years trying to build this brand to allow anyone to put it in danger is not going to happen. That's reality that nobody wants to talk about and face. The fact is that you got to make quick decisions and decide, I know this person has been loyal to me. I know this person started with me. At the end of the day, this person cannot handle the growth that we're about to happen because they got used to a pattern of working, and now the business demands something else, and we can't transition them somewhere else, and the reality is the person has to be let go. It's a tough decision. It's emotional decision. It's emotionally gut-wrenching for me to do a lot of what I have to do. It's very distasteful. It's very hard. It's very you're going to be viewed sometimes as a villain. But why? If I was doing a good job, why did you let me go? Because the next step of the business, you're not going to be able to go there. You're not going to be able to take us there. And while everybody feels that when you're not making any money and you don't have the funds, that you can borrow it, you can get an SBA, you can do this, you can keep that person on, because you can make it happen somehow. You can't stretch the dollar. There's only 100 pennies in every dollar, and when your payroll goes above 50%, you got a problem. When your technician payroll is over 18%, you won't be able to have the marketing dollars that you need to grow and expand. And you won't be able to borrow your way to that success. The only way you can do it is if you're borrowing the money because you've got a marketing plan that works. And if you said, well, what if we Forexed it? We can generate 4 times the calls. And what people are going to say, see, that's why you business people are greedy. It's not that we're greedy. Is that you don't realize that over 90% of us don't make any real money until we scale the business, we grow it, and then we sell it. And that's when we make our money. It's in our exit strategy. That if I want to have a really good retirement and be able to do what I want to do, then I got to scale the business to X amount in order to have, you got to scale it to, let's say, 2, 3 million, 4 million EBITDA. EBITDA, and that's before earnings, interest, and taxes. And then you got to watch how much debt you're in to grow it, because you can have a $1 million business with a $1 million in debt. and you're going to get let's say you get a 2.5 valuation, you're going to walk away with $1,000,000. You're going to pay the $1,000,000 you owe, and then you owe 20% of that, 30% in taxes, whatever the tax rate is at that time. And this is what employees don't understand about business. What do? I try to educate the pest control industry, the service industry, even the employees, so that the employees understand what an owner is going through at that time when he's making this decision. And he is growing a business and he's sacrificing his health, his well-being, his finances, his reputation, his name, all so that he can have the lifestyle that he wants, and it isn't off of your back because you agreed to do the work for the money you're paid. You agreed that you're an employee, and if you want guarantees, you go buy a toaster, because there's no guarantees for the owner. There's no guarantee for any employee. Unions are dead, pretty much. You're going to work for a giant company with a union, that's another problem. But if you're working where the average employee now works for a company less than 10 employees, every day, every year is a struggle for that owner, where he keeps thinking about every year, this is the year I quit. And you can always go get another job. You can quit right now and go get another job. That owner cannot go get another job. He cannot go get another business. He'll be bankrupt, close the company down, and he's got to figure out if he starts over again, or what did he do? Because as a business owner, being out of the workforce for the last 20 years, I'm unhireable. Who's going to want a 54-year-old guy who ran a business other than for a service job or sales job or a consultant job or a manufacturer's rep, which is what a lot of us do when we retire or we quit and sell our companies? We go become manufacturer's reps, some type of rep of a product. We go into consulting. You can't go get another job, but any technician can quit tomorrow, get fired. And in this economy, if has a good track record, he can get a job in a day. Owners can't do that. So understand that the decisions an owner has to make are hard decisions every day. It's between this bad decision and this bad decision, or hard decision. They're both hard decisions. But we're going to eat that frog. Then we can't. My mistake has been that in the past, I've held on to people longer than I could afford them. I've done it again because a lot of things don't work. They're not working. They're not producing the ROI. Business has to be about ROI. What is the return on investment that I'm going to get if I invest in you? And if I can't see a return on investment, I can't invest in you. I had to sit down the conversation with one of the techs that I hired, and I said to him, look, I hired you because you had X, Y, and Z skills. I don't see that in you. And you don't want to put any extra hours. You want to put in your 40. You're looking at your clock, and you want to go home. Your attitude sucks, and I can't see how I'm going to invest in you. Because I can't see how I'm going to get that return on investment no matter how much I invest in you. And you got to have those hard conversations. And at that point, that person has to realize this is as high I'm going to get. I can't give you a 5, 10, 15% raise every year unless you sell something and you get a commission. You're not willing to sell. You're not willing to upsell. And I got to decide what organization I want to be next. Do I want to be a sales and marketing organization that sells a damn good product and services it? Or do I want to pretend I'm a technician? And in order for me to be a sales and marketing organization that sells a good product, I need people around me that have a sales growth and marketing mindset. That they're about, how do I make the most money and how do I help the company make the most money so I can make the most money. And that's going to require you putting the 40 plus hours in, the 50 hours, because nobody's going to make $70,000 a year on 35 hours a week. That's the illusion. That's the dream. In this economy, it isn't going to happen. So this idea that I'm going to be a YouTube star, that I'm going to be, that I'm going to go out and make 70,000 a year working 4 days a week or working 6-hour days, so I can have work-life balance. My grandparents didn't have that. Your grandparents didn't have that. My parents didn't have that, and your parents didn't have that. And technology doesn't make things easier. It just makes easier for us who are willing to compete to utilize that technology using AI to the max so that we can maximize. It still doesn't change the amount of work we have to put in. And the illusion is that you don't have to put in work. That you can just show up and somebody owes you something. And those of us that have put in the hours, the 80-hour weeks, the sleepless nights, I had a streak before this one where I worked 30 days straight without a day off. That's what I had to do to make sure everything ran after I lost my tech, after I couldn't hire one. Even though that tech was generous with me, because I was generous with him, and there was reciprocity, he gave me 2 months' notice. It still took that long to find somebody that's qualified. So this idea that I can hire somebody in a week, 3 days, 4 days, and make things happen is bullshit. I don't care. I don't know what podcast you're listening to, but I want you to go out and try it. I want you to listen to what these guys say over and over and over and over, and then I want you to go out and execute on it. Because you can have all the head knowledge you want, but unless you can go out and execute, and then how long is it going to take you to execute? How much is it going to take you to execute? How much of a headache is it going to be to execute? And do you have the stomach to execute? And that's what we're finding, that people are living a life of illusion. A life that they're going to be able to run their business on a beach somewhere, in their shorts from a laptop, and they're not going to have to be present in their business, because our system is going to show you how to run a business where you don't have to be present where the business runs itself. It's utter bullshit. Anybody who's running a business right now that's $6, $7, $8, $10 million knows that is total bullshit. That it's not really happening. And you're still got to be present, because if it was that effortless, then why would anybody sell their business when they make $5, $6, $7, $8, $10 million? When they took EOS, when they have a business management system, when they have all of this stuff, why would they sell it if the business is running by itself? The fact is that every day you wake up, it's like pissing glass. I don't care how big your business is. It gets easier, it gets better, but it doesn't become effortless. This idea of passive income, and that you can make passive income. There's no such thing as passive income. The only passive income is when you buy an annuity and it sits there for 30 years and you're getting dividends from it, but you're only getting 6% if you're lucky. There's no such thing as passive income. You become a landlord, you buy 10 properties, you got to evict people, you got to hire managers to manage the paint, to do all of this stuff. There's no such thing as passive income. Okay? Believe me, I tried every way that I could not to have to work. The closest I got is about 6 years, where I was going through a difficult time in my life and I needed that. And I decided I didn't need a big of income, and I was able to work, have employees, have three trucks, 3 vehicles, and the economy was good before COVID, and then COVID hit, changed everything, and here we are, presidency that's been utter bullshit. So we keep getting fed bullshit, and I don't care if bullshit is bullshit. I don't care which way you cut it. A turd is a turd. I don't care if you deep fry it. I don't care if you saute it. You're going to eat a turd. I don't care how it's presented to you. And this is where I'm doing a lot of consulting with people who are struggling, and every time I get off the phone with them, and I follow up with them in a week, and I give them about a week, a couple of weeks, I don't bother them, and I call them and say, bro, how you doing? He says, bro, after I got off that call with you, I felt so depressed. But then I realized you're right. And then I started working on the things, and I'm working on it slowly. But the problem is I dug a hole for myself. Now it's going to take 2 years for me to undo all this. And that's the reality. What you want is to go on a consultation, me to tell you everything you have to do, step by step. You're going to do it, and it's going to be effortless. And it's not. It's going to be a ton of hard work. It's like saying, I want to go to the gym. I weigh 175 pounds, okay? And I want to bulk up and have a ton of muscle when I don't have the DNA for it. I don't care. Unless I shoot up steroids, I'm not going to get that big. Do you want to shoot up steroids to get that big? Do you want to risk it? That's the reality. And a lot of people are under this illusion that things are going to be easier than they really are. And they're not. And this is why the majority of self-employed people will quit. 90% will quit after 5 years because they realize they've been working their butts off for 5 years and they can't make it happen. You got to learn sales. You got to learn marketing. You got to have a boss. A boss is a business operating system, and it takes time to build one. It takes time for you to build your service process and get it perfect, or get it at least a minimum viable service that you can sell. It takes time for you to learn how to be a salesperson. It takes time for you to learn how to be a marketer. I just had a friend who called me, who took my marketing course, who I told years ago, bro, you can't do it. You gotta do it yourself. Not gonna have enough money. Well, now he's back again with finding another SEO company. A lot of people got screwed. And I just had another consultation with him over the weekend. On Sunday, I said, call me. And I was on the phone with him for an hour, and I said, look, here's the reality. This is what you got to ask. You got to put their balls to the wall of these SEO guys and ask them the hard questions and ask them how they plan to hand that off. And what they're going to say is, well, we're not going to tell you our secrets. I said, I don't need you to tell me your secrets. I just need to tell me what the action plan is. And here's why. I have a third-party auditing company that's going to audit you, and I want to know where the BS is. That's the reality. So, for those people that want to grow, want to build, understand you're going to need solid accounting systems, solid financial reporting. I mean, think about it. Technician work is 20% of this. You can develop a good service. Can you duplicate that good service with somebody else? Do you have a system that can be duplicated very easily? Do you have a marketing system to bring your message out? Do you have a sales process once you get that person in the door? Do you have an accounting and financial system that can identify, and then every time you grow, you figure out where things are broken? Because what growth does is it shows you where your vulnerabilities are in your growth, okay? And then now you got to fix those because you thought, oh, we had a solid service system. We didn't do a flow of a call and see how does this call flow through here, and flow chart the whole thing on every single system. And now you have a marketing system and you want 3. Well, I want to do YouTube, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do the Gary Vee model, and I want to do this. And I said, you can't. You got to pick 1 or 2 to do. And we figured out the 1 or 2 that work for us, while somebody figures out it's LSA. Somebody figures out for them it's Thumbtack. I got one buddy that's dropping 25 grand a month in Yelp, and everybody says Yelp doesn't work. Yet, he's producing $100 to $150,000 a month in revenue off of Yelp, dropping 25 grand. But he dominates the market. You have to learn, you're going to have to dominate one market in order to do. You can't do all the things. You can't be on 5 different channels trying to do 5 different things and be successful at all of them. It isn't going to work. Pick one good service that you can sell, pick 2, but you can't have 5 that you're going to make money. You can have 5 that are there as ancillary services, but you have to have the main 2. Is it termite? Is it going to be GHP, general pest? Is it going to be lawn? But you can't do 17 things. You can't do wildlife, and you can't do exclusion, and you can't do termite, and you can't do this, and you can't do restaurants and warehouses and be working 24 hours a day. You got to pick one. And then market the hell out of that and find your niche. Because you can't compete in the market like Miami, where I've got every major brand, national brand, and I've got 20 competitors that are doing over $5, $6, $10 million. Some are in the $20 and $30 million a year. So you got to pick and choose. Am I going to do door to door? Am I going to do BNI? Am I going to devote myself to contacting realtors all day long? You got to do one thing. What I found is the successful companies are doing one thing. I got companies, all they still do to this day is WDO inspection. If you can do WDO inspections, you can get a lot of leads. Find the one thing. For us, it's been the SEO and the YouTube. It's still working. I'm learning to do ads, but I'm not depending on them because I don't have the money to invest in ads right now. I will in a year from now, maybe. We'll see how this goes. We don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if anybody's got any questions. I'm going to be heading off of here in a second. I just wanted to give you guys an update, but give you a reality check. And I want you guys to be successful. If you're needing consultation, right now it's going to be tough for me to get on the phone with you and talk to anybody. If I can do one a month, I'm lucky. I have a very limited amount of people that I can talk to that I'm working with, but I know they're doing it. I can't invest time in people that are thinking about it, that are not 100% in, that are not risking it. I can only invest in people that I know are busting their butt, growing and doing, so that we can get together and talk. And right now, we're in that, I'm trying to get our mastermind, $1 million mastermind going again. I haven't had time to devote to that. It's been, something that I can't do. But, if you're out there and you're busting your butt and you're doing it and you're stuck, you can reach out to me. I can help. A lot of the times I'm going to drive somewhere. I just had a consultation with a guy doing an IPM contract for schools that it's a nightmare right now. And he doesn't know how to really do it. I said, the reality is you're going to have to go there weekly. Yeah, but I only sold it for once a month. I said, yeah, but you signed the contract. Now you're stuck. Next year when it comes to renewal, do you want to do it? That's the bottom line. But you're going to have to go there weekly and deal with this, because unless you deal with it weekly from a biological standpoint, you're not going to get the control. So it's compounding on you. Now what are you going to do? That's reality. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I jumped in and I took it, and if I would have known it was going to be like this, I would have never done it. Well, now you know. Now you know by paying that tuition that it isn't for you, or that you can't do it, or that you don't know how to do it, and then you got to figure out how to do it. Can you play the game in that arena? Can you afford to go there? But I know, but I have other customers. I said, you need one technician devoted to this account, because now this is a contract account and you get penalized if you don't show up on time and if you don't do it, and it's taking up all of your time, and it's not worth it. So it is what it is. You can't sugarcoat it. You can't tell you it's going to get better. It's not going to get better. It gets harder. So I got my son, I guess he's finished his homework and he wants me to help him go over it. And I got wifey on the phone on the way home, and I'm going to finish this cigar and take a break. And I love you folks. I wish the best for you. Like, share, tweet, share it again. Leave me comments. You guys are a bunch of douchebags that are leaving all these comments. I love you. All right, bro. Take care. Peace out.